Why can't I get this camera to balance properly? How's that? Hi everybody, it's Jenn from McCreath. And today is February 14, 2023. Guess what? When you're 49 years old, you start experiencing things for the 50th time. I had my 50th New Year's Day earlier this year. And quite frankly, I don't remember the first one because I was literally a couple hours old. We just had my 50th Groundhog Day a couple weeks ago. Not necessarily a holiday that people pay a lot of attention to, but I do have some fond Groundhog Day memories, and I'm going to quickly tell one story. 1992 was a year I kind of came out of my social shell and made some friends, and a lot of that evolved around hitting the tennis courts and playing tennis. 1992, I must have played 200 tennis matches. Of course, up here in Canada, and playing on the outdoor public courts, it's kind of difficult to play tennis in the winter, so we basically have to shut things down. For some reason, we had this silly idea that on Groundhog Day, February 2nd, 1993, we would take our snow shovels and go to the tennis courts and clear a path and play tennis. And I guess we found out that tennis balls take very different types of bounces on ice than they do on a regular hard court. But that was tons of fun. So let's fast forward to coffee. Yes. Valentine's Day. What does Valentine's Day mean to me? Well, I have the distinction now of living 50 consecutive Valentine's Days as a single person. Wow. I have had relationships in life, but none of them have actually lasted a full year. We came close twice. I had one relationship start literally a week or two after Valentine's Day. But that relationship obviously didn't survive a full calendar year. And I had another one that actually ended in late January one year. It used to be something that bothered me or worried me. I think part of that is societal pressure. I don't know if it's as bad now as it was for younger people back when I was actually young. When are you going to find a partner? When are you going to get married? When are you going to have kids? I wasn't nagged by my parents, but the topic was raised now and then. And the answer is usually, I don't know. I can't force anyone to go out with me. I can't force somebody to fall in love with me. I can't force somebody to marry me. And I can't force anybody to have kids with me. And that was usually enough to shut them up because they didn't have any answers either. And I guess growing up as a trans person who didn't even realize they were trans, one of the challenges in figuring myself out, they never taught anybody about this in school. You might be trans. Here's the signs to look for. Here's the things you need to be aware of. It's a lot better today. If I had grown up in today's generation, I would have figured out that I was trans probably when I was 14 or 15 years old instead of when I was, in my early 30s. So yeah, there was something out of whack with me, not right, not balanced, and because of that, I was, as I mentioned, fairly quiet and shy. I did not take part in group activities. adolescents, most of them love to fit in and be part of a group, and it's usually these group activities where you start getting relationships and partners and things like that. So I didn't have a circle, a social circle per se. So I was late, just even this, when I started having enough, I guess, confidence in myself and being brave enough to actually ask someone out on a date. I would have been a little older than most, and a lot of those resulted in no thank yous. So the self-confidence got even worse, and we kind of just gave up on that for a while. Interestingly enough, all those years I was young and beautiful, I was never approached and asked out by a girl. I was always into girls and still am. That's another misconception about trans people. It has nothing to do with whether you're gay or straight or whatever. Yeah, I finally, I guess, evolved as in my social maturity a little later in life with the advent of the internet. If you're old enough to remember, 1996, 1997, we had chat groups. GeoCities, I believe, was the website that you went to either build a website or go onto one of these chat lines, and you meet people on the internet and you have nice, long, lengthy chats with them and actually get to know them. You're not just judging someone based on their looks or based on being set up by a friend who doesn't really know if you're compatible or not. So this was really a great opportunity for me to develop good, solid rapport with people, as well as, I guess, make myself vulnerable. And by then I'd already been to college, and I'd learned the importance of, I guess, what we'll call intellectual intimacy. If you really want to get to know someone and trust them and develop feelings, you're going to have to really get to know each other and spend a lot of time communicating. And that's essentially what this offered. So by the time I was ready to physically meet these people, we already knew each other like we were best friends. And I guess I tried a little too hard to make relationships work. And then I was in my early 20s, and I guess I still had a lot of confusion and insecurities. Yeah, bottom line, those relationships, one, they were long distance. You meet people on the internet, you don't know where the hell they're going to be. So I found myself thousands of miles away, and it would be these crazy road trips that would become a part of my future in life. The road trips started out as visits to see girlfriends, and after those relationships ended, the road trips inspired me to keep traveling. And then I started following sports and music, and I would drive across the continent to see sporting events or concerts and things like that. But yes, very interesting. I did have a couple short relationships at home, which was Toronto at the time. But yeah, none of them made it to Valentine's Day. Then I moved to Newfoundland. Shortly after I realized I was trans, I knew I needed to come up with more money because transition was going to be expensive. And in 2007, the healthcare system wasn't paying for much of this at all. So I needed a better job, found one out here, came out here, and the plan was to save up a few bucks and then go back to Toronto and transition. And I ended up staying here and transitioning. It's unbelievable, the change. It's interesting. For me, the change was good. It was positive. It made me full and complete in who I am. But unfortunately, society doesn't see it that way. At least they didn't see it back in 2007, 8, 9. And I was forced to become an activist and educator, standing up for myself. Because when most people thought of the word trans, the only thing they could think about was weirdos on Jerry Springer show. And I had to make it quite clear that no, this is not the case. So looking for romance was not really on my radar. It's interesting, once I had evolved, I'd taken the hormones and had the sex reassignment surgeries. It's like, okay, now I'm finally me. Now I'm actually ready to explore relationships. But at the same time, I'm not just going to force it. I don't think it's suitable or helpful to rush into a relationship with someone who's not going to be a good match for you. By then, I think I'd learned that happiness and fulfillment in life has to start with you and yourself at home. You can't base your entire life around other people or expectations of other people. And as one of my psychologists once told me, if you worry about things you can't control, you're going to have a tough time. Focus on things you can control. So that's what I've done with my life. Since coming out as trans, it's also an interesting case study. And sadly, when you say trans, a lot of people think about the word fetish. And I can't tell you how many times I've been propositioned by strangers, usually men, who for one reason or another were looking for a one-time sexual encounter with me. And I said, no thank you. That's not what I'm about. I am not a fetish. I'm not a sex toy. So if any of you out there watching this, don't even bother asking me. I've always been about relationship building first. And when it comes to physical and sexual activities, it's got to be meaningful, and that means it's got to be someone you love and you trust. I know maybe that's an old-fashioned value, but it's just the way it is. So yeah, 0-50 on Valentine's Day. It used to bug me. Now I don't really care. I don't need a partner to be happy. Sure, my life's been challenging. There's other issues that make my life difficult, stressful, etc. And perhaps that's why I haven't made it a priority to go hunting for a partner. When you're struggling to pay your bills, your focus is on work and finding better work. In some cases, selling off your assets to pay business or bills. The other thing that kind of hits you when you get ready to turn 50 is, am I too old to have kids? Do I want to have kids? I understand the effort it takes to raise kids. And I've always said I would never have children unless I felt comfortable and confident that I could give them a good life and a good upbringing. Again, it comes down to finances. You can barely pay your own bills. I don't think it's fair to bring children into the world and let them suffer the misery along with you. I'm not one. I'm not going to go begging to the government. I get people are having babies that they can't afford, and in some cases encouraged. We have these, I don't know, do they still have this baby bonus thing? I know my mom back in the 70s, it was like, I'm so glad you were born in December instead of January because we got an extra year's worth of baby bonus for you. Okay, great, whatever. But I guess, I think I've done videos on this, but as you know, prior to having the trans surgeries, I made a decision to store sperm. Yeah, I was born male, with male parts. If I ever want to be a biological parent, it would be a sperm from me, not an egg, that would produce said offspring. And believe me, it was not cheap. I spent a lot of money going to a private clinic to store sperm, where it is literally sat in a special type of freezer that will keep it dormant. However, if and when the right time came along, you could thaw that sperm out, find a way to match it up with an egg, and create an offspring. And I thought, you know what? At that time, I didn't want to give that dream up. Maybe the time will come when I'm ready to have children. I'll have a partner. And I've always made it quite clear, I guess. Perhaps this is part of being a product of a divorced family. I wouldn't bring kids into the world unless I was confident there was going to be a solid family unit. I've never really thought of the idea of just being a single parent. I could find an egg donor, a surrogate, and be a single parent. No, I've never really thought about doing that. Adopting somebody? No, that's never really been on my radar either. Maybe it's just the fact that there's such a strong interest in family history. For me, it's about carrying on the family name. I don't know. But again, it just hasn't been in the cards. And at what point are you officially too old to do something? Do I really want to be putting diapers on and chasing a toddler around in my 50s or 60s? Probably not. Especially not now, given how physically beat up and exhausted I am. Right now I'm just worried about getting my knee fixed because I can barely walk. And again, it costs money, not just to store those sperm in the freezer, but you have to pay every year to keep that freezer operating. Thousands of dollars have gone into this project. And is it really worth it? Is it worth another couple $1,000s to keep those sperm frozen? Or is it time to just say, you know what? This is not going to happen for me. I will never have biological children. I am now too old. Something I've been thinking about, and I kind of figured today would be a perfect day to make that announcement. Not just to myself, but I'm going to put it out there to the world. I, Jennifer McCreath, will never have biological children. It is what it is. Can you lose something that you've never had? Maybe. It's not so much losing children, but it's losing the dream of having children. It's something I always thought I wanted. But now it's something that I know I will never have. And that's something I have to live with. Life is full of ups and downs. The glass is a quarter full, as opposed to being 3/4 empty. But yeah, there's other things to focus on in life, and that's the attitude I've taken. Maybe I won't have a family, but maybe I can do some other things. Maybe I can make a name for myself as a trans activist. Maybe I can get some human rights laws changed. Maybe I can help make it easier for trans people to get accepted into society and be accepted and included in things such as politics and sports. I think I've carved a legacy in those areas. Heck, even the idea of a trans person working in the justice system was very foreign a few years ago. Now, it seems to be the only place I can get work. And I'm well liked and appreciated. So there you go. Valentine's Day, whatever. I don't care. I don't give a shit. And I don't think this is sour grapes. I think this is just me being true to myself, saying I'm focused on me and my life. I may be getting older, but there's still some things ahead that I want to accomplish, some goals. And I'm done worrying about things I can't control. I'm going to accept the cards I've been dealt with and play them the best way I can. So there you have it. Happy Valentine's Day. And for all you people who are single on Valentine's Day, don't worry. It's not the end of the world. I gotta say, I feel badly for friends who have lost partners. When you're used to having someone and then they're gone, that's got to be very tough. I know I can think of many people who have lost their partners. They've literally died, either from natural causes or accidents or whatever. That first Valentine's Day, they always talk about the first Christmas without a loved one, but I'm sure the first Valentine's Day without a loved one is pretty tough. And so a big shout out to any of you who have lost somebody. Chin up. Remember the good memories. Carry on with your day and your life. And try to be positive. I'm positive because we've got 40 centimeters of snow outside. And it's a blizzard, which means they said don't come into work today. It's too dangerous. So I had a great morning. I went back to sleep. Slept in. I actually feel alive and energetic. Especially now that I've had 3 large cups of coffee. So yeah, we're going to have a great day. And we're going to carry on. 2023 is going to be my year. Lots of good things ahead. Lots of interesting news, I'm sure. And we will try not to keep these videos going so long, because you probably don't want to watch 22-minute videos of me talking. But there you have it. Long after I'm gone, somebody might want to do a case study. What's it like to be trans in Newfoundland in the year 2023? Well, guess what? This thing called YouTube's out there. It'll probably be out there for a long time. So hundreds and thousands of years from now, people can come back and look at my channel and say, wow, that Jennifer McCreath was a rather interesting character. Thanks for watching, everybody.